Okay, welcome back to the Are You Strong show. I have another local guest, and I can't wait to tell you about this young woman. But she's from Mountainside, New Jersey, by way of Governor Livingston High School, where she was a four-year letter winner in basketball, track, and soccer, and decided to take her soccer career to Rutgers right here in New Jersey, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, um, Rutgers soccer, women's soccer, Big Ten. I don't think it gets any bigger than that around the country as far as college soccer. It's probably the biggest, best conference, and that level is incredible. But this young woman, and this is what I love to talk about for the athletes who come on the show, throughout her 50 games of playing, scoring, not just scoring 5 goals and 6 assists along the way, she's been an all academic Big Ten student athlete as well, which is it's incredible. Once you hear what these young athletes go through to still manage that type of academic performance, it's just incredible. But welcome to the show, Allie Post.
Hey Jeff, thanks so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. You pretty hit my intro pretty well. From Mountainside, New Jersey. Just finished my junior year at Rutgers. I'm going into my senior year, and I'm super excited to see what the next season has for me in store.
Oh, it's going to be great. And I think I'm trying to think if you're my youngest athlete on the show.
I feel like I might be most, when I listen to your show, I feel like a lot of times it's graduates, right?
Yeah, most of them are out of school or a couple years out or what have you. I think you might be the youngest. I'm not sure, you
Oh,
know,
rec-
which is good. It's great to have athletes on that are in motion, like actually playing right now, which is awesome. So I have a bunch of questions, to ask you. And the first question I always ask athletes coming who are on the show is, I mean, Allie, you're playing at the Big Ten level. From what I know and think and read and see, is that Big Ten college soccer is huge. You're playing the best of the best throughout the country. But when did you realize, as a young athlete growing up, that you had the skill level to not just play in college, but to play at the Big Ten level at Rutgers? Was that 8 years old, 10 years old? When did you figure that out?
well, it's funny because I've had this type of conversation with my mom before. If you looked at like I had to write like a letter to myself in third grade, and I said like I want to play for the U.S. national team and I want to play for these colleges. I think it was like Notre Dame, Virginia, UNC. It wasn't Rutgers, but it was like the top colleges. So that was always the dream. Um, and my mom obviously always supported me, but she said there was a moment for her when she realized, oh, like I think she can actually play D1 was my first game at PDA where I had like coaches on the sidelines. And afterwards, like a bunch reached out to my coach and was like, hey, like because I was a trap player and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but I had to play with the girls who were a year older than me in grade school. So after that game, a couple coaches were like, "Hey, we know she's only in eighth grade, but we see a bright future there and would love to like keep watching her as she grows." And my mom marks that as the moment where she was like, "Oh, like I actually think like maybe she could play like D1." Um, but for me, like I guess yeah, I never thought like I'd be playing at a Big Ten school like Rutgers. But it was always the dream and always the goal, so I'm happy that it's where I'm at now.
Is no place like home, right?
Yeah, no,
You know.
never.
So how was the recruiting process? I ask that a lot too to the athletes coming. In today's world, if you go backwards in time before social media, before all the craziness, before NIL, recruiting was different. Now it's like a competition. The world sees it, the world knows it. What was it like for you? Was it stressful? Was there a lot of schools banging down your door? Were your parents involved? How did that go?
I would say that I had a difficult recruiting process. So, you can't start talking to coaches till sophomore year, June 15th. And so I was coming off of a fifth metatarsal fracture, which happened sophomore year. So I kind of missed all my sophomore year showcases, which wasn't ideal, but it was like, okay, it's fine. I'll be back for junior year. And then COVID hit. So then I missed all those showcases, which wasn't great. It was definitely really stressful because I'm like, how am I going to get recruited? Um, all my visits were virtual, which also was kind of It wasn't
No
like
fun.
I didn't get the full, yeah. I mean, it was great, like it was exciting, but I didn't get the full experience of like going to campus, like going recruit dinners, meeting the girls. Um, I was kind of sitting on a Zoom and like touring the facilities virtually. But I think that my recruiting process, since it was so unique, is kind of why I ended up at Rutgers. And obviously I wouldn't change a thing. But if I had played my sophomore year, if COVID never happens, like I don't know where I would have ended up. But the fact that a lot of the schools that I ended up getting like my offers by were close to home, had seen me play for so long, really knew me as a player. I wasn't comfortable committing to a school that saw like a couple of my game films, like after I hurt my foot, like watch me play 2 games over film during COVID. But for example, like my Rutgers coaches, they were my literal club coaches, so they knew me as a player, a person. Um, so I knew that like I knew that they knew what they were in for. And I didn't want to just commit to a school who had saw me play 1 game because I feel like it was more risky, and you didn't like they didn't really know what they were getting. So that's kind of how I ended up at Rutgers.
So they knew the whole story.
Yeah.
That's good. Now you mentioned the type of injury you had, and people are they've heard. I heard what you said. I know what it is because you told me in the past. But there's people listening, like, what is that? What do you what kind of injury is that?
Um, so I broke my fifth metatarsal, which is if you like have your foot, it's the outside bone. It's kind of like rolling an ankle, but instead of your ankle going, your foot goes. Um, so I did that. I did it sophomore year of high school. Got surgery. I had to put a screw put in. And had no issues with that because there was a screw put in, so it was done. It was fixed. Freshman year of college, I did the same exact thing to my other foot.
Oh, is the screw still in there?
Yep, I
It's
have.
going to be in there for life?
Mhm. And when I re-injured myself freshman year, luckily it was out of season. It was freshman year spring or winter going into spring, so I didn't miss my season. Um, did the same thing, other foot, got the same screw put in. So I have 2 identical screws in my feet, metal screws. My
Now,
dad
do
and
you beep when you go through the airport?
no, I don't, luckily, but there was one time where, like the handheld ones?
Yeah.
They like I that happened once when they got close to my foot. But that was the only time.
Okay.
I don't know if that was because it was like localized, but other than that, I've had no problems. And that was like years back after my first one.
All
Uh,
right.
but yeah, my dad and sister call me the rusty robot because
Yeah.
I have 2 identical metal screws in my feet.
That's now. Do you feel them in there? Can you actually feel them when you touch your foot or no?
If I were to touch my foot, I don't really feel much of anything in the spot. Like it's
All
kind of
right.
numb.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you were a good athlete in multiple sports. How did soccer become the sport versus the other ones you were playing?
Well, I was probably always just the best at soccer, so I loved it the most. Um, or maybe I loved it the most, so I practiced the most and I became the best at it. I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg type of thing. But basketball was definitely up there for me. I really miss playing basketball. I tell my joke with my friends at school all the time, like, let's do an intramural league this winter and play some pickup. Because it truly, the thing with basketball, there was no pressure with it because I wasn't trying to play college ball. So whenever I had my basketball games, it was kind of just fun. Not that soccer wasn't always fun, but there was also that stress added to it because it's like you have to play and you have to play at your highest level all the time. Um, so yeah.
So soccer just rose to the top.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, since I was a little girl, it was always soccer.
Yeah.
I was,
I mean, soccer. I mean, college sports is tough,
mhm.
right? And we're going to talk about. I'm going to ask you to give me the day in the life in a minute, but you know, you really need to be inspired to go play college sports. I don't care what level you're at, but especially at your level. What inspired you to say, you know what, I'm going to make this commitment to literally devote my life to soccer while I'm in college?
I think I grew up in a sports family. So there was always sports around me. I mean, I think back to like when my cousin did go to my grandparents' house, like we'd have like I call it the cousin combine as like an NFL combine, but my grandpa would hold the stopwatch and we'd have to sprint down the street and he would time us and then yell out our score and see who had the fastest score. So I grew up in a very competitive environment and it was kind of just I loved it. And that's why I think with soccer, I loved the competitive atmosphere that it always provided me. I had so much fun playing. So to answer the question of what inspired me to play at the college level, I think I wanted to. Like I love soccer. Like some people say, oh, it's such a sacrifice that you have to make, like you're giving up so much time, a social life. But to me it's not really a sacrifice because I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, if that makes sense. So I would say that although, yeah, oftentimes people have like a motivation to get there, my motivation was because I wanted to. Like I didn't want anything else. That was what I wanted, and I committed to that at a young age, and I was gonna do nothing else but get there.
Good. Now you say you have a very competitive family, athletic family. What, anybody else playing sports along the way in the family?
So, to be completely honest with you, my parents aren't gonna like me saying this, but my dad was not much of an athlete. He did like cross country and soccer, like middle school soccer. He can run, but that's about it. And my
All
mom
right.
did tennis and cheer. So she was athletic, but no one was like super college athletes. I mean, most girls on my team, you talk to them and their mom and dad both played college sports,
Right.
which is another unique thing for me. I think I'm not coming from college athletic parents. But my grandpa, he played basketball in college and he played for Siena. So he's kind of, I would say, the like driving factor of the turkey trot family type
And
vibe.
he's the one with the stopwatch.
He has that much, yes. He has a lot of other gadgets too. I feel like we're always getting tested on some athletic ability. He used to like feel our muscles. Um,
That's funny.
so yeah, he was the main, but my cousin, so throughout, I think it trickled down throughout some of my cousins. One of my cousin plays over at TCNJ. She plays soccer as well.
Good.
My little cousin, he plays like all sports. He's in high school still. My other cousin's like a state champion swimmer for 4 years. So a lot of the grandkids are very competitive athletes, which is awesome because I grew up with such like we're always striving to make each other better, which is super fun. But
Good. So tell me, what's the day in the life of a D1 soccer player like? When you're going crazy, you're in season, in school. What time you getting up? What's going on? What's it looking like? When you going to bed? Let the world know what you got to deal with every day.
so I usually wake up a typical in-season day, if we're talking not a game day, I probably wake up around 7:30 because I have class usually at 8:30 and 10:20 because our black practice block is 12 to 4. So I'll wake up 7:30, do my morning routine, head to class, my first class 8:30 to 9:50, then usually get a snack, whatnot, go to my second class, which is 10:20 to 11:40. Then after that, run straight to the facilities because practice is usually starting by 12:15. Before practice, you want to try and get treatment in if you need. Practice usually lasts, depending on if it's before the day before a game or recovery session, it's typically like 1 to 2 hours. Could be more, could be less. Kind of depending on like what that week has entail. And then in season after practice, we always have film. So if it's the day after a game, we watch our own film. But if it's the day after, it's the day before a game, obviously we're watching the opponent's film, which usually is like a 40 minutes to an hour session. And then after that,
How do those sessions go? Are you watching film alone? The coaching staff, the team? How's that going?
so we have like team film. So we have a film room. It's like in our athletic facility. It's awesome. There's like really comfy chairs, a huge projector, and our coaches lead it. We have like our offensive coach who does like offensive film and then defensive coach who does defensive film. And the whole team's in there. There is occasions where, oh, maybe like we're gonna bring the midfielders in to watch this or the forwards in to watch this, but most of the time it's team film because we watch either the opponent or our team. And my coach would say like he would want the whole team in because he doesn't want to separate the defense and the forwards because it's a build up. Um, so he'd want us all there watching the same thing together. Um, so after film, at this point, it's usually like 4:30. So think be in the facility for about 4 hours. If you didn't get treatment before film, you'd get treatment after film,
Now, what
depending
does treatment mean? Everybody's like, what kind of treatment are they getting?
So it kind of depends, like totally what you need. For a while there, like I would go into treatment for my foot, obviously, because of my foot injuries. Um, which for me after practice, I would be icing it. And the one thing we do have is everyone has to do mandatory ice bath, 10 minutes a day, every day.
Well,
So,
how cold is that?
I mean, I'm just used to it now. Some people think it's really cool. We have like toe covers that you could put on your toes. Um, but I'm used to it. I just go in fully and then just let it for 10 minutes. But my friends like joke with me 'cause I was at the beach last weekend and the water was freezing cold. I was like, this is nothing.
That's nothing compared to
And
the
I
ice
would go
balls.
in. They were like, I'm not going in that. I was like, okay. Um, but yeah, so everyone that's like required treatment. And then depending how your legs feel, you could do the Normatec boots, you could do cupping. I don't know if you know what cupping is,
Yep,
but
that's what those big circles all over your body, right?
yeah, a lot of players get cupping on like their hamstrings or their back. Um, so there's different things like ACL girls have like prehab and rehab that they have to do. It's very specific to like yourself and what you need. Um, but they do say like treatment is required. Like you have to do some sort of treatment, take care of your body. It's like not always talked about, but it's a huge part of being
Yeah,
successful. Um, so that would be either before or after film, depending on the time. Shower, dinner. By this time, it's usually like 5. If I don't have a third class that day, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. When I do, it'd be like a 5:40 to 7. Um, get home after that, do all the homework I possibly can, and then I'm usually in bed by 10. If I have an exam, I'm going to push the bedtime a little bit and study definitely more, but I'm really big on my 10 o'clock mark. Because if I'm not in bed by 10, I will not perform the way I need to perform the next day or be the person I want to be the next day. I need
I
my
mean, sleep is so important.
yes, and I'm huge on that. I have like the Aura ring. I'm like
Okay,
I'm always checking my sleep. Like I need my 8 hours.
are you getting into the deep sleep?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my deep sleep is always like less than I thought it would be, and I'm trying to like figure out how to make it better, but it's always like a bunch of hours of light and then like less deep. So I don't know what that means, but I'm trying to figure it out.
As long as you're sleeping.
I guess.
Right? So being a college athlete, you know, I know what it means. Being I was one a long, long time ago. But, how has that helped develop you, not just as a student, but as a person, who has a huge life in front of them? How has athletics helped contribute to your growth going forward?
I think, I mean, obviously athletics kind of has shaped me in every single way that I am today because it's pretty much my whole life. I would say the biggest thing that I has shaped me into is to be a type A person. I mean, from the day I was a little girl, I was like goal oriented and okay, I'm gonna play college soccer and this is how I'm gonna get there. And I think that personality type that I've grown is gonna shape how I transform the next parts after sport of my life. I don't know like in what field that's going to be yet, but I think I'm always going to be the type of person it's going to be this is my goal and this is how I'm going to get there. And I think that mentality is because I was an athlete and because it's the only mentality really that you can find success with.
So what kind of goals you got?
For after sport or for in sport?
For whatever you said you got goals, are they you have school goals, athletic goals, future goals? What you got a list of them? What's on the top of the list?
Okay, well, my athletic goals, this is my senior season, obviously. I want to win a championship. Simple as it may sound, that's always the goal. But then for past college soccer, um, pro soccer would obviously be the next big thing that I would want to achieve.
How's that looking?
I don't I don't know, like it's
Too
very
soon?
yeah, it's a little bit of a sensitive topic right now because you could ask me like 3 like, bunch of years ago, I'd be like, "Yes, I'm playing pro soccer," but part of me now is like, "Do I wanna start my career?" But I'm leaning more towards, like, I'm never gonna have a chance to play professional soccer again, I should go for it. Um, but that yeah, so I think that's what I wanna do, but
Okay.
it's tough. I'm a finance major, so a lot of my classmates who I'm competing with are doing these internships all summer long, and I'm still training for my sport. So I feel like they're already ahead of me in the game and getting like post grad jobs and opportunities that it's like, why not just go play soccer? Like, I'm already behind in the internships. I love soccer. I'm passionate about soccer. And why not do what I've been dreaming of doing my whole life? So it would also obviously depend how I perform this season. But there's so many growing opportunities for women's soccer players that overseas. There's a new WUSL league. This is like NWSL second league. So they're really making a lot of options available for women's soccer players, which is awesome. And I don't know if I could pass up that opportunity if it
I
comes.
mean, you got the rest of your life to work.
Yeah,
You can only play soccer for so long before
right.
somebody says you can't play anymore.
Hmm.
So if you get a shot, just run
Yeah,
with it, you
yeah.
know?
And in terms of like post soccer life, um, I think it's a scary thought because, like I said, I want to find something where I have a goal. Like to say I have a runway and a reason, and I know what that is with soccer. But when I get to my post sport life, I don't know what it is yet. And I want to know what it is, but I don't yet. Which is a scary thought
You'll
because
figure it out.
yeah, I know how to work hard, I know how to get what I want, but I don't know what'll give me the same feeling and passion that I have for soccer. Obviously, I want to find something that I love as much and care as much about soccer for my career, but I don't know what it is yet, which is a little stressful.
That's all right. I think you'll figure it out. So far,
Yeah.
you figured everything else out,
Hmm.
right? So you'll figure that out. So,
Yeah.
so you're going into your senior year. And, from what I hear a lot, if I go back to my world, you know, typically your senior year is probably, I don't know if it's the funnest year, the most athletic year, the most promising year. I don't know. But what is your most memorable experience so far being at Rutgers and either on the field, off the field?
The obvious answer, I would say, is when we beat USC in PKs in the Big Ten semifinals in the St. Louis MLS Stadium. We were down one goal, down a player, managed to score a goal, came back, went into OT, played through OT, still tied, went to PKs, and then won off of PKs.
You got to tell everybody what PK means.
Okay, so PKs it was like a penalty kick shootout.
Yeah.
So we played it overtime. It was still 1-1. So PKs is when like the ball's on the line and it's just you and the goalie. Five shots each team. Um, our goalie played incredible, made 3 saves. We won. Stormed the field, and it was honestly the most surreal feeling I think I'll ever feel.
That's awesome.
I joke about it with my teammates. We were talking about it the other day, and we are like, this season, like we're doing that again. We have to, like, there's no option. 'Cause this is my last season, and I need to experience that at least one more time. Because and that wasn't even the championship. That was the semifinals. So
Right.
I can't even imagine, and that feeling sticks with you. We obviously had the best time just celebrating on the field, but then we went to the locker room. We're doing
And you have that on videotape.
mhm.
That's great. And did
Yeah.
everybody get a copy of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's, like, multiple different videos from it, but yeah. Um, and then after like, even in the locker room, we had a song, 2 songs that we would listen to, "Freed from Desire" after we would win, and we would sing it after every game when we would win, but this one just hit so different, and it was top 5 feelings, I think, ever. Um,
Cool.
so that would be my obvious answer. I think a less obvious answer would be I remember, like, it stings to this day, the first game that I didn't go in. So, freshman year, I'd get minutes, like, in most games, and then there was one game where I didn't go in. It was my first game not getting any minutes, and I wasn't ready for it, I didn't expect it, and it stung. And I think you talk about things that motivate me to still play at a collegiate level, um, that's something that sometimes I think about, like, I'm doing a super hard workout and I'm like, "What?" And I think about that, I'm like, "I do not want that to happen."
So
Like,
what happened? Why did that happen?
um, I just, like, wasn't performing the way I needed to be in order to make a difference in that game. It was towards the end of the season, so we were starting to play it was, like, Big Tens. I think it was Big Ten game. So the first game I didn't play in was a tournament game. So the stakes were high. Um, and I just guess I just wasn't where I needed to be to go into that game and make a difference. Which stung, especially, like, coming from being a starter in high school my whole life. I mean, even just getting a couple minutes still obviously is tough as a freshman. You kind of expect it, but it still stings. But I remember standing on the sideline, I was so upset. I remember going to my parents after the game, and that's a feeling that I remember. Not a good feeling, a bad
Yeah.
feeling.
Well,
That
did it push you to work harder, do better?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go on to say, like, I'll be working out, I'm like, "That's I don't wanna feel that again, I wanna be on the field." So, that feeling, that sticks with me,
Hmm.
does still to this day drive me to always be working harder. Cause and you could even be working harder and still be in that situation, which sucks too,
Yeah.
because the competition level is so high. Um, but yeah, that feeling really stuck with
Do the coaches tell you after the game, before the game, like, "We're not putting you in," or "This is why we didn't put you in?" Or they leave it to the unknown?
Well, you don't really like, going into a game, you don't always know, I mean, you can't predict the flow of a game, um, what's gonna be needed, who needs to go and when, who needs a break when. So, yeah, there's, like you predict, like, what your subs are gonna look like and stuff, but you can never, like, predict for sure, like, who's gonna play what game. But then obviously after the game, if you don't like, for me, obviously, like, it was my first time not going to games, so they did explain to me, like, "Oh, this is why, like, we couldn't put you in this game." They don't just leave you, like, hanging with a question mark,
Yeah,
um, which is good, and I respect that because obviously I was upset, but them being transparent with me and saying you weren't ready was something I needed to hear, so,
yeah. Alright. So you grew from it.
yes.
Alright. Okay, let's go to some fun stuff,
Okay.
right? The locker room, the bus rides, the plane rides, the hotel. Can you talk about that, the camaraderie with the team? Because, from where I sit, those are the moments that just stick with you forever.
Mm.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I would say that my team has a very good team culture. Last season, we called each other sisters. And I know it sounds like a little bit cheesy, but it was true. We genuinely like every single girl on that team I would die for. And I think it's one of the reasons why we found so much success last season. In terms of like traveling, hotels, flights, it makes it so much more fun when any girl you're sitting next to, like you can have a conversation with. And something else that I especially think last year I was super good about our team was everyone was, like, fun. I know it's, like, simple, but we would play stupid games in the airport, make stupid TikToks, do dances, and it wasn't ever like, "Oh, am I gonna be judged for this?" Like, no,
Yeah.
everyone was all bought into having fun all the time, and I think my coaches also play a role in that because they're always looking for a time to prank someone. I mean, so many times we'd, like, fake fire drills when the new person comes into a team meeting, silly stuff like that, I'll never forget, and another thing that we pride ourselves on is being I guess it goes along with sisters, but being a family. So, going beyond just being able to have conversations with people, you could trust people, so when things are more serious, like, you can lean on your support system, and having 28 girls that you can go to if you need, is obviously awesome to have.
That's great.
Mhm.
So you're going into your senior year. So now you're the old lady on campus now, right?
Weird.
Yeah. So can you tell me about, has there been times where, throughout your, let's say, last year, where you saw a freshman who maybe was going through some tough times, maybe, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, because that's tough as a freshman coming on campus. What does the team do? What did you do to maybe put your arms around those young girls to make them feel better that, the world does get better?
I think back to my freshman year, I had 2 players that I could think of off the top of my head who kinda took me in, um, and made everything a little bit better when it was tough. I mean, freshman year, obviously, you're thrown into the water and you don't know what to do. But I think of those 2 girls and how they made me feel my freshman year, and that's how I wanna be to my freshman. I know last season there was a freshman, she played a similar position to me, was coached a very similar way to me, and there was a couple times where she'd be down and I'd reach out to her and say, "Hey, like, look, like, you're gonna get through this, like, it's normal as a freshman, it's tough, but you're fine, you're right where you need to be, everything's gonna work out." I was the same way as a freshman because sometimes you can't see it, like, when I was a freshman, I was like, "Oh, no, I'm I'm in the deep end and I'm gonna be for 4 years," but it's just part of the process, which I think is honestly the biggest thing I learned from college soccer. But so that's just how I try and be with my freshmen. I tell them, "Look, like, this is okay, it's normal, and you're gonna be just fine."
That's great. Now, did they pick captains for next year yet or no?
Yes, they did, and I have been picked as one of the captains, which I'm super excited about.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Does everybody know that yet or no?
Yeah, we got since we had, like, a spring season, it was announced at the beginning of the spring. So we started kind of leading in the spring and figuring things out, but our full roster, because 'cause we're bringing in transfers and freshmen, um, will be moved in July 6th, I think, and that's when we, like, officially start with captain's preseason and actually, like, running stuff.
So is captains team voted, coaches voted, or both?
Both. In the end of everyone has an individual end of year meeting, and one of the questions that the coach asks you in your individual meeting is, who do you see fit to lead the team next year? So each person does put in like a vote, but I guess it does come down to coach's discretion as well. Which honestly means so much to me. When I had my individual meeting with my coach, he told me every single girl that came in said my name, and that honestly made me so happy because as much as, like, I trust every single girl on my team, they clearly trust me and respect me too, which just means the world.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, you think about that, you being the captain of that team, and for those who don't know, Rutgers soccer, women's soccer, has always been at the highest level for how many years now? It's like always great. What were you ranked last year?
I don't know what we were ranked last year. We're usually top 25, I'd like to say
Yeah,
top
you're
25.
always
2
top
years
20,
back,
top.
we made they made the Final Four, um,
Yeah. So I
second
mean, it's always big time soccer,
yeah,
so to be named captain for something like that, that's an incredible honor.
yeah, it meant a lot to me for sure.
Oh my God, it's huge. And you're worried about what are you going to do after college?
I know, I got a lot to focus on right now.
Yeah. You got a lot in your hands, you
Yeah.
know? So that's my next question. How the heck do you balance the demands of academics? Now you're the captain, you got athletics, you got your social life. How do you put all that together without going nuts?
Um, I think it's definitely something I'm still working on. Can't say I'm perfect at it. Um, but we have so many great resources. I mean, for academics, we have tutors, there's sports psych, there's I personally rely on a calendar and a schedule, and I just put all my stuff down, and that's how I keep myself organized. But beyond that, our academic advisor gives us, she sends us spreadsheets that we have to fill out in order for everyone to keep their academics intact. So I don't think it would be possible without the resources that we're provided, which totally make it so much easier. But then as well, you also have to be understanding that you play a big role in your organization, and I guess some people, like, can be less organized, but I need to be super organized in order to know what I need to do and when. Um, yeah.
So you mentioned before you go to bed at 10.
I
At least
try.
you
I
try. You
can't say I
try.
always hit the
You
10.
try. But now you just said, hey, you're organized, you stick to the calendar. But you're what, 21?
Yeah.
You're a 21-year-old young woman in one of the biggest colleges in the country. There's 40, 50,000 kids over there. You're in New Brunswick. How do you stick to the discipline to avoid all those distractions?
Um, but I'm gonna be completely honest, like, it's not that difficult for me. My priorities are soccer and school, and I honestly would say, my mom would say that I need to be better at making some time to have a little bit more of a social life. But then again, my team, like, we're all doing the same thing, and going to practice is a social I mean, my coach would kill me. It's not a social event, it's practice, but, like, when you're warming up, you're talking to your best friends. So it's like you kinda get that out of the experience. But I think my mom would 100% tell you that I need to have a better balance
You need
because
to lighten up a little bit is what she says?
yeah, she does say that. I do tend to go all in all the time, and there could definitely be more opportunities where I take a step back and kinda just chill for a second. But
But
I
it's not who you are, though.
yeah, but I also think it is important, and if I were to look at my freshman year, I would say I definitely got better at it since then. So
Okay. Alright. Well, like you said, your teammate or your friends, your sisters, your family, if you're going to a party, you're gonna go out with them anyway.
right, and we only the only time, like, especially in season, like, when we can go out is we have the rule win the weekend, so if we win, um, Thursday game and our Sunday game, then you could go out. That's the only case where you can.
Really?
You have to sweep the weekend.
Does anybody break that rule?
No, I would hope
No?
not.
So, forget the physical pressure. How about the mental side of the game? Can you talk about the mental stress that you deal with? We just got kind of touched on a little bit. You need to lighten up a little bit, your mother says, but talk about the mental stress that you deal with on a regular basis in the high competitive world of D1 college sports.
I mean, it's a lot. I think, like I sort of talked about the moment when I didn't go in my first game, like, it sucks, and that's, like there's always so much pressure, so you never really know what you're gonna get. Like, freshman year, I played some minutes, then I didn't play minutes, and then sophomore year, I started some games, then I didn't play, then I got some minutes. Like, it's, like, very much up and down, which I think is part of the reason why it's so mental because a lot of times you're thinking, like, "Why this game? Why?" But I find that the less you think about it and the more you just play, the more success you'll find. Um, Personally, I have dealt with performance anxiety. Um, I have a sports psych that I would see. He's the best. He helped me kind of just ground myself and remember why I'm playing and to not get so worked up and anxious. Funny story. Freshman year, I was so nervous. I literally had a panic attack on the sideline of the field
Oh my God.
and my I don't even know if my coaches know this, but I told my trainer, I was like, "Michelle, like, 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 I don't know what's going on." And so our team doctor was there, so I remember, like, they put the finger thing on me, and they were, like, doing my pulse on the sideline of the field.
What was your
What
heart
was
rate?
going on, but looking back, I'm like, little freshman me was literally, like, so nervous to go in that I was getting my heart rate and blood pressure checked on the side of the field. Um, which, like, I can laugh about now, but it's real, it's a real thing, it's scary and there's a lot of pressure, but I think being surrounded by such good players, and teammates and staff allows you to kinda relax and be like, "Okay, they trust me, they got my back, we'll be fine."
So, can you talk about that performance anxiety? People might be like, what does that mean? Like, this girl is that good, captain of the team. How the hell does she have performance anxiety being that good?
Yeah, I think it looks different for everyone. There's some people on my team who would never have performance anxiety. Some people have it in different ways. Um, for me, the first time I remember having anxiety about playing was after my first fifth metatarsal surgery. And I was coming back. It was in the time where I hadn't been able to play sophomore year, and this was the only time I could get recruited because it was my showcases after my sophomore year, and I was like, "Okay, I need to do well in my showcases because this is the only time I'll get recruited." Um, so I think it stems from, a lot of pressure that put on yourself, um, which when I say what you put on yourself, I think is key. I think a lot of my performance anxiety has stemmed from the fact that I've always been putting so much pressure on myself, um, which I wouldn't change because I think it has pushed me to where I am today. Um, but for me, what it looked like was, like, being like, legs just feeling heavy on the field, thinking more about what I'm, like, doing in the moment than actually just playing, and it's, like, one of the most frustrating feelings as an athlete, um, but there's definitely ways and I'm so happy where I am now, to have given such good resources and strategies that, I can play free, um, yeah, so it's
So,
definitely
how
it's
does the
real.
is a sports psychologist who you talk with?
Yeah, I had a
How does that help? Like, what do you guys talk about if you don't mind going in a little bit? Like, what do you talk about? What do they recommend? How does it all help?
I just it again, it's different for every athlete. Like strategies that work for one is not going to work for someone else. Um, but for me, I started doing a lot of mental imagery and which would me I like would do repetitive shots or moves in my head prior to games. And for some reason, I mean, there's definitely a science behind it, but for me, it just I was able to like then go onto the fields for the game and just be so much more calm and confident and not there was times where my coach would say, stop hiding, which meant like you're not showing to the ball, which means you don't want the ball. Um, and that was kind of where I was at a point a couple years back when I was so nervous to even get on the ball. But then like doing imagery, like just gaining your confidence back, um, allows you to then want the ball, be on the
Well, the
ball.
coach can actually see that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he would be able to. Like you can he says he calls it hiding, or for me, that's what I remember. Um,
But how do you hide on the field? You just like stay away from the ball?
like not even that, like and again, it's like tough to say because I wasn't intentionally hiding. I think I just kind of did it as like a reaction to not being confident on the ball and wanting the ball.
Like, were you
But
ever out there saying, "Don't kick me the ball. Don't kick me the ball."
no, I don't think I was ever like it wasn't
Okay.
to that extreme, but it's like if there's a pocket and you need to be in the pocket, like maybe you're like a little bit to the side so that they can't get it to you exact. Like I think it'd be small things. My coach should call it hiding. I don't know how to explain it that well to people who don't understand soccer,
Like, you
but
maybe you just weren't diving in head first.
yeah, not even that, just not showing as much as you not be getting in the best spots to receive the ball, kinda
Okay.
just floating, like
Yeah.
and
Okay.
if you're floating, you're not having an impact on the game, which, is probably why freshman year I wasn't, needed in those big tournament games, but yeah,
But now they need you.
I would hope so.
Well, you're not gonna be captain if they didn't need you,
Yeah.
right? So, what do you think are the top things you've learned so far about, from playing college soccer at Rutgers?
Um, I would say we kinda touched on this, but I seriously believe it, trusting the process. There were so many times where I doubted where these 4 years were gonna take me. I didn't know where I was gonna end up, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, and just because freshman year you're scared to go in, scared to get the ball, upset you're not getting a lot of minutes, um, it's part of the process, and it sounds probably a little cheesy, but it's so true, like, everything happens in, like, the right time. Sophomore year, same thing, like, everything worked out for me to have a good sophomore year, to me to then have a good junior year, to now me being captain going into my senior year. Um, I think there's so much to say for just trusting that there are ups and downs, but it does work out.
I mean, you need time to develop,
Right. I
you
mean,
know?
there's very few players who come into college soccer and are starting playing 90 as freshmen.
But is that the problem today, Allie? Is that the young girls or I don't care what sport it is, the pressure, the expectation that I should be playing as a freshman is so high that it's almost maybe sometimes mentally debilitating to these girls coming in because they don't get the minutes.
I I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a problem because I think the fact that every single girl on my team has the mentality that they should be playing 90 minutes is what makes my team so good.
Okay.
But I do think yes, there is pressure, um, but as long as it's not pressure coming from outside and it's coming from inside yourself, I think it's then good pressure. Like if you're putting pressure on yourself, like then you can handle it. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we say on my team pressure is a privilege.
Yep.
Obviously, it's tough, and like I said, I went through times where I was dealing with the stuff too, but pressure is truly a privilege, and when you have that many girls so competitive and driven to wanna be on the field, your practices are going to be so good, and then you're going to have that many girls who can go into a game and play it. So it really makes the team better. But then again, like you don't want to have false expectations. You kind of know, you should know your coaches kind of when they're recruiting you, they tell you like what to sort of expect over your 4 years. And I know for me, like they didn't say you're going to come in and start playing 90 minutes freshman year. And that's a choice that I made coming to Rutgers. I had other
And I'm sure they didn't tell you you're going to be the captain either.
no, they did not tell me that. Um, but I had other schools that I could have committed to that would tell me, yeah, you're gonna come in, be a starter freshman, play 90 minutes, like you're gonna be a most important player on this team. Like, but I chose to come to Rutgers knowing that it was gonna be I wanted to play at the highest level I could. So that's why I came to Rutgers knowing that it was gonna be more of a up and down, fighting for my spot every single day until I earned it type of situation.
Are you still fighting for that or no?
Yeah, every single day. I think every single person we always say no spot's guaranteed, so you have to every single day you have to fight, train, be your best self, and so that you could earn your spot on the field.
Now, do the upperclassmen worry about the incoming class? Like, hey, how good are these girls? Is anybody gonna take my spot? Is that always a worry?
I don't think it's really a worry. I mean, for me, like we definitely talk about like, oh, like who's coming in? Do we have but it's more of like excitement, like, oh, we have a really good like whatever coming
Class.
in, that's great. Like, because we at the end of the day, we all want to win. We just want to win.
Yeah.
So we want the best girls possible coming in so that we could win.
Now,
Especially
how do you guys handle the transfer portal?
um
You
I
got
mean
more girls coming in or more girls going out?
the transfer portal this year was like a mess. I think there was like thousands of girls in the portal because there's like a whole roster cap rule. I'm not sure if you knew about that, but
No.
there's a roster cap of 28 now. So every team in the country was like girls were leaving. So it was a mess. It really was. So I think we had a couple girls leave, but then we also brought a couple girls in. Um, yeah, I think the transfer portal is so messy nowadays that they're talking about making rules where you could transfer, get one freebie, but then if you transfer again, you don't lose a year of eligibility, but you have to take a year off until you can play at that school. Which I think might be a good thing because people enter.
It's getting crazy. You got people
Yeah,
transferring three, four times.
yeah, and it's just like it kind of takes away from the whole like cult like this is my school, I'm gonna play for my
Yeah,
school. When you like are transferring, it's like doesn't mean the same amount as like this is where I've been for 4 years, this is my school.
right.
And then again, like I'm not saying people shouldn't transfer. I think that there's totally valid reasons for it, but there are times where it's like used a little too loosely, I feel like.
Well, if too many people transfer out, you're not going to build that sisterhood. You're not going to build that family. You're not going to build that team culture. You're not going to build the camaraderie. You're just going to have people playing for a year and out. Bunch of
Right.
strangers hanging out,
Yeah.
right? You know. So how has your identity shaped over the years? I mean, some people it's it's totally focused on athletics. Some people can multiple different identity pieces. What's yours looking like?
Um, I mean, obviously, soccer is a huge part of my identity, but so is every single girl on my team and all college athletes. Their sport is a big part of their identity. I try and coming from parents who are really serious about school, I try and also have my school intact so that I can also be a good like I want to be known as a good student, getting my work done. I try and do stuff like SAC, which is our student athletic committee, to get into community engagement. So I like to consider myself to be try and be well-rounded so that it's not just soccer is your life and this is your identity and that's it. Because like we talk about, there is life after soccer and after sport, and you can't just wait until then to get there and be like, okay, what now? You kind of have to build blocks up until you get to that point so that you have a foundation when you get there.
Cool. So what advice can you give the younger girls coming in? I mean, you've got lived through it. You had your ups and downs. You've fought through it. Now your success level is incredible. What advice can you give these young girls coming into the stage that you're on?
Are you talking about like girls coming into college or girls who want to play college soccer?
I am the girls who are coming into college who want to play college soccer.
I would say, well, I have two things to say. For the girls who are or guys who are questioning if they want to play college soccer or college sports or athletics, I would say do it. It's hard and but it's so worth it, and you'll never get the experiences that you get as being a college athlete anywhere else. So go all in, do everything you can to play at that level. But then for girls that are coming into college now who made me nervous, sort of like the advice I took away myself, trust the process. Expect nothing. Everything is earned, and I think
Mm.
that's the biggest thing that some players forget when coming in. It's all of us from our high school teams, our club teams. Obviously we earned our spots, but we were starters, leading goal scorers, players of the years, all this, and then when you get to college, it's kind of like, oh shit, like everyone's like that. So you can't expect to have that same, I don't wanna say level of importance because everyone's important, but the same impact you did your freshman year as you did the other years, but just know that if you wait it out, work your ass off, you will get there, and you will be that player on your college team that you were on your club team.
It's great advice. No wonder you're the captain,
I'm glad.
right? Right. So you got one more year to go, right? And what kind of things are on your mind? What kind of concerns do you have about transitioning? I know you kind of talked before, hey, I'm going to go professional soccer if I can. But do you have other concerns about transitioning out of sports?
Yes. I mean, I kind of talked about this, but, like, finding a job, I mean, it's
You'll
scary
find a job.
because I know, but it's scary 'cause, um, I when I'm done soccer, like, I wanna find something that I love as much as soccer and care about as much as soccer, and the fact that I don't know what that is yet is scary to me. I said before, I need a runway and a reason, but I just don't know what that is yet, so that's why it's like and once I find that, I'll be fine, I'll be set, I'll know what to do to get where I need to be and to find my success, but the fact that I don't know exactly what that is yet is what's a little bit, I guess, scary.
Well, when you think about it for a second, when you were a little girl playing soccer and your other sports, you figured that out,
Yeah.
right? And then when you got to high school, you figured that out.
Mhm.
And then you got to college, you figured that out.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you figure the next step out? You'll figure
I
it out.
don't doubt that I won't figure it out. I know I will.
You'll figure it out.
But from what I don't remember, like, when there was never a time where it wasn't, like, Allie and a soccer ball. Like, I was just destined, that was how it was. Um, but it'll come with time.
If I were you, not that I am you, but if I were you, I wouldn't be worrying about it. You
Yeah,
know, the senior year, you got so much going on. Enjoy every second
yeah,
of it and just be you,
right.
right? So, Allie, we talked about a lot of stuff, and is there anything we haven't touched on you think we should hit before we wrap it up?
No, I think we hit most of it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me on, I really appreciated it. Had fun.
It's my pleasure. You're show number 92.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot of shows.
Right. And I think I gotta go back and count, but I think you're my 17th Rutgers athlete.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have the wrestling coach Goody coming on Tuesday.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so I'm excited. The more Rutgers athletes I can interview, the better. It's just because it's a lot of fun. It's so close. It's the home state, and what's great about it is I get to watch you guys,
Yeah,
play, so you're going into your senior year. Listen, have a great season.
thank you.
And I know stay healthy is always the word, right? Stay healthy, but win that championship, and just have fun,
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to seeing you out on the field because I'll be watching.
thank you. I appreciate it.